Woo, there we go. Hey, what's going on? This is Marcos. Today we're gonna be color calibrating this monitor right here. This is the iMac 2017 5K monitor. Now, how are we gonna do that? We're gonna use the DataColor SpyderX Elite, and just a disclaimer, this product was sent to me for review. But I'm still wondering whether an iMac actually needs color calibration, because these are not cheap monitors. They're expensive. They're 5K. And wouldn't Apple already send you a product that's well rounded, meaning that the colors are beautiful and perfect, how they should be? I have this LCD screen over here. I know that one the colors are off, because when I compare it to my iMac, it looks more bluish. So I'm not surprised that the colors are off on the cheap LCD screens, but when it comes to Apple products, you're thinking, well, those are perfect, they're calibrated, so there's no need for something like this. And that's what we're going to be testing out today. So without further ado, let's get to it. In the box, you're going to get the SpyderX device, nothing to it. If you go over to their website, you can look at the step-by-step process, because I'm not going to explain every step in this video. But the process is very simple. The program will walk you through what you need to do. You place the SpyderX over your screen, and the first thing it prompts you to do is to adjust the brightness level. I had to dim both of my monitors halfway. Then it will run some color tests and adjust your monitor's colors. After about a minute or two, it's done, and then it shows you before and after photos of your monitor with and without calibration. I noticed that both my monitors were on the blue side, and they were a little bit contrasty. Here we go, focus. Hey, what's going on? This is Marcos from the future. So it's actually been a couple months since I first calibrated these two monitors, and I did run into some issues, and so I had to get in contact with the DataColor support team, and we were going back and forth. I was asking them a bunch of questions, why this, why that. So I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit, but first I'm gonna explain my experience with the calibration process. So what I did notice is that after the calibration, these two monitors were, I guess, a little bit warmer, and they weren't as contrasty or saturated. So my guess is that right out, and the same is true for both monitors, the iMac and this cheap LG monitor. What happens, I think, is that they give you super contrasty, saturated, and blue colors for some reason. And after you do the calibration, it brings it to a more of a neutral color. So that's what I noticed. So let's talk about the issues. When I did the calibration, it was recommending that I set the brightness level to 120 DC. So I forgot the number. What that meant, it was that I had to turn down the intensity of the brightness halfways on both monitors. And so, that was fine. Okay, I was looking at the monitors, and they looked too dim, because from what they're telling me, my eyes have to get adjusted to it. And so I gave it about 1 or 2 days, and at the end I had to revert back to full brightness on both monitors, because when I was looking at footage, I was importing it to my computer, it looked like the image was underexposed, and that was because the monitor was now half lit. So I guess I didn't give it enough time for my eyes to get adjusted to the new brightness level. I just didn't like what I was looking at. It felt like I was underexposing my images, and then I would compensate by bringing up the brightness. So it was just a mess. I reverted back to the full brightness. I did another calibration, and I said, hey, leave the brightness alone. So I'm gonna ignore completely the brightness level. So that's what I did, and I used it for a couple months. And then the other thing I needed to fix, the second issue, was that the monitors were not matching up. I thought after doing the calibration, both of them would match up exactly, and that wasn't the case. So I contacted the DataColor support team, and they gave me a list of a PDF explanation why that didn't happen. Anyways, I'm not going to explain to you. Basically, what you need to do is, with the second monitor, when you go up to the very end, there's this tab called DataColor Tuner, and that's where you have to change the gamma, which is like the contrast, also the white point, and possibly the blue. I tried to match them up, but it didn't quite match up exactly, and that's because they're different monitors. This LG is a very cheap one. It's pretty old, and they don't use the same, I guess, the backlight. So what I recommend is that you try to match them up at the very end, right? Go to the SpyderX tuner and try to match them up by eye. There's no other way to do it as far as I know right now. And at the end, know that you're gonna get a bit of a color difference. So just stick to color grading in one monitor. For me is my iMac. I'm gonna stick to color grading there. I'm gonna use the second monitor just to put my timeline or windows there or for whatever else I need it, but I'm not gonna color grade from it. Recently, I recalibrated and I said, all right, I'm gonna give my eyes a couple more days to readjust to see if I can get used to the brightness being at the recommended setting, which is halfway. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna give it a couple days, see if I get used to it. I know that now when I'm looking at footage, it looks like it's underexposed basically just because of the brightness level, but we'll see. That's where I'm at. So I want to hear from you. Have you had, if you're thinking about buying this or you bought it, have you experienced a similar issue? If so, I want to hear from you. Please comment down below. That does it for today's video, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.